Okay, this is part two of my gut reaction to The Flash. I changed locations, and my hair's still a mess. I moved the wall over a little. Spoiler wise, this movie has a very interesting climax. And it has the kind of climax that I love and I highly respect in comic book films. It is a climax that knows how to end without just the superhero defeats the bad guy, but also it ends in a satisfying way, and not a way that we've seen a million times at this point in comic book movies. Much like not Across the Spider-Verse, because that's a different can of worms. I like that movie. I love that movie a lot, but that's not what I mean to compare. It isn't like Spider-Man 3, where Venom is killed by a big fight and then the villain blows up, and then we just have a talk with the Sandman, an honest talk, and he forgives him. That's a climax and then resolution. This isn't quite an anticlimax, but it is a multi layered climax in a way that I really think works. And in the middle of this climax is where we get a lot of the cameos that were rumored and apparently going to be in this film. There's a lot of little things in the background that DC fans will appreciate. Barry Allen lives right in front of a comic shop, and the comic shop is called Wiz Comics, which is a reference to the original Flash and where he started. And next to it is a store that says Grayson's on it. There's little things like that all throughout the film. There's a ton of poster references in the background. Like there's an Inception poster on alternate Barry's wall. There's a Mars Attacks in alternate Barry's dorm. There's a lot of little things like that are part of just Warner Brothers being Warner Brothers because they like to reference their own movies a lot. And for the most part, it's just a lot of that. But then in the third act, in the climax, we do get some of those cameos that have been rumored. Now, like Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Gal Gadot appears as Wonder Woman for like this much of the movie. She's in it for like less than 2 minutes. She does it well, and it's nice to see her, but she's in it for like less than 2 minutes. Affleck, at most, I would say, has 10 minutes of screen time. At most. So please don't come in expecting a ton of Ben Affleck and like the two Batmans, Keaton and Affleck, teaming up together. That definitely doesn't happen. But the big thing, and here's the biggest part, like number one spoilers, like I'm pretty much going to cut it off pretty soon after this. Just stop watching right now if you don't want major deal spoilers about the climax of this movie. Barry, alternate future Barry, are in the Speed Force and they're yelling at each other and they're trying to figure out how to get this all to stop, how to fix it. And then this dark, messed up Barry appears. And he's like absolutely covered in rocks and stab wounds and knives. And he's just an absolute mess. And we learn that that's alternate Barry in the future. That he's been trying so many times to correct this. And he just keeps adding more and more onto himself that he is basically converging these other worlds. And they're shown as like giant globes entirely out of colors. Then when you zoom in, there's little layers on them like building floors that show these other universes. And this is where we get a few cameos. And there's a reference to Jay Garrick, the original Flash, the one with the tin hat and racing wings. That version, we get a cameo from him. We get a cameo from a black and white Superman that I think is a reference to the radio show. And major spoilers. We get a CGI recreation of Christopher Reeves as Superman. Honest to God, Christopher Reeves. A CGI recreation like with Star Wars or Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's very brief, but you can tell who it's supposed to be. And I think it's done with legitimate respect. That happens again for like a split second to the right for Adam West. And again, I think that is trying to legitimately honor these legends that have now passed on and left us. But then we get my personal favorite squee moment of the movie. This is my big I started clapping moment. We zoom into this green Earth globe and we see what seems to be a Superman cloaked in shadow. We can't see what he looks like, but he has long black hair, fighting this giant alien spider. And it like keeps shooting webs and it traps against a wall. And then he like breaks out from it and just obliterates the spider with heat vision. Then he turns around and light shines. Nicolas Cage, honest to God, Nicolas Cage, dressed as Superman, flying in the air, having just killed that spider, looks right at the camera. Nicolas Cage is actually playing Superman in this movie for about, I'd say, a good 45 seconds total. He doesn't have any speaking lines, but it's him. You can tell it's really him. The same Superman that we were supposed to get in the canceled movie Superman Lives. And that's pretty exciting to me. The climax is really effective. I think the emotional moments throughout this entire movie, the comedy is hit and miss, but the emotional moments really pull through. I can't think of a single emotional moment that felt to me manipulative or like it wasn't working. All of the emotional moments legitimately work in this movie, in my opinion, which is hard to do in a comic book movie, but I really think it works. It has a very, very open-ended, not resolved ending. Some of it gets resolved really effectively, but some of it is very up in the air. What's gonna happen? Cut to the end credits. We don't know what's coming up next. James Gunn, the new head of DC Studios, has officially declared Blue Beetle to be the first movie in the DCU. DC Universe. Not DC Cinematic Universe. The DC Universe. Superman Legacy will be the first movie in the DCU. But Blue Beetle is the introduction to it. This means that The Flash is officially the final movie in what we can call technically the DCEU, even though that's not the official name. Whatever this means for other characters, other actors, cameos, directing, writing, whatever it means, I don't know yet. But I think this movie is legitimately worth your time if you're a DC fan, especially if you're a Flash fan, if you like the other movies that predated this one, like if you liked Man of Steel, if you liked Snyder's version of Justice League, if you like seeing Ben Affleck as Batman for a little bit, I think you're gonna really like this movie. I legitimately recommend it. If there are any movies minus Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice from DC that you liked, I think you should check this movie out. I think you'll find something that you like. But that's about it for me. I was batting a 3 out of 5. The last third, I think, really, really boosts everything. It isn't like the movie's absolutely saved without that last third. It would be completely worthless. It's more just this last third really brought it up for me. Some little moments that really made it all special. So I really think legitimately a 4 out of 5 movie for me. I recommend it. Definitely go see it. Thank you for watching my gut reactions, and I'll see you guys soon. I got a lot more movies this summer to try and see.